inspired by how their relentless pursuit and commitment to basically protecting their home and their own, and they're very, very inspiring individuals. And ultimately, it was Pete's decision. Pete and I kind of joke about it because when you think about the interagencies, the law enforcement officials, all that stuff, BPD dealing with the FBI, state police, all that stuff.
Watertown.
Let's not forget Watertown. But initially, there's so much conflict. I mean, we literally heard from 20 different people that they were the ones that put the cuffs on the last brother. And we always felt like we needed to make sure that we probably couldn't make everybody happy. I mean, this investigation took well over 100 hours. We were telling the story in 2. So to make everybody happy would be difficult, to say the least, but to make everybody proud was our sole objective. So, but it was ultimately Pete's decision, so if anybody has a problem with it.
Do you get a lot of questions if it was a real person, and how was he in the right place at the right time? When there's not an understanding that it wasn't one person.
No, I think that there's a phrase we use called stolen valor, which is something that we dealt with in both of the last films, where you're making a true story and you suddenly say, well, this guy did all this stuff. Well, then everybody else is going to become real pissed off and fierce. Well, wait a minute, he didn't do it. I did this, and Tom did this, and Sue did this. And you can enter kind of a rabbit hole, especially like Mark says, when you're dealing with, these are not shy, wilting little flowers, these police officers in Boston. They're extremely opinionated, they're very direct, and very quickly, I think, the best way, in general, our strategy was to be transparent, be open and honest with everyone that we met, and tell them why we felt this was an important story to tell, and how we thought, what the experience would be at the end of the day when an audience came and saw it. And we found the best way to get everybody in a very difficult complex group of individuals on the same page. Excuse me. Would you just quite be honest and say, look, we're going to say Mark's playing 2 main guys. One everyone knows did this, the other did that, and that seemed to diffuse the situation pretty well.
The interrogation scene where they're talking to Catherine and the special group or special team that came in.
Are there more bombs? Are there more bombs?
Yes, the Are There More Bombs scene. How much access did you have to that true, the real information?
Right, so that Catherine Russell for me was the most interesting part of the whole story. And that, I was at the apartment they lived in. It was maybe 400 square feet. There were 3 of them living in there, 4 plus the baby. It's very hard to understand a scenario where she didn't have some understanding of what these guys were doing. And we met with so many people. We met with the FBI agents. They were very quick to sort of, you mentioned, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who's dead. They're fine. They have no issues. Johar, who's facing the death penalty, no issues. They're able to talk about most aspects of the bombing at this point, relatively calmly. But you mentioned Catherine Russell, and you can see the veins start popping on their necks, and you can feel the heat in the room. They feel that again, I can't say that she was guilty, but it was very hard to understand a scenario where she wasn't. I reached out to her twice. Her lawyer asked me to send her questions. I wrote questions to her. She didn't answer them. And so what we found out was that, and it's pretty amazing, that under the Homeland Security Act, there's a provision in the Constitution now which basically says if you believe that I have knowledge of an imminent terrorist attack, I have no rights. I have no Miranda rights. I have no lawyer rights. I have no rights. And I mean, it's heavy. It's scary. It's raises a lot of questions, but it's real. And I don't know that it's a bad idea. And the CIA was a group that came and interrogated her. It's a group called The Hague, which is a high individual interrogation unit. And they wouldn't tell us exactly what they said, but through an FBI agent, we played this kind of crazy game of hot and cold with them. So I would write something and they would be like, oh, that's cold, that's totally cold. You're asking too many questions. There's only one question we really care about. I was like, well, would it be, where's the bomb? Oh, yeah, you're really hot, that's great. So it was just like, you know, 6th grade game of hot and cold, where they led us down the path, and we ended up with that scene. And got the word back from the FBI, the agents who served as middlemen, that that's pretty much exactly how the interrogation went down.
I think that scene is just, I mean, shifts the entire feeling of the movie. Do you have a funny story about that, JK? You started to...
No, he just makes me laugh.
So as we're looking at the films, and I feel, and I'm not the first certainly to say this, that Peter, that you've become the American, in partnership with Mark, the American storyteller, and these last films that you mentioned and that we've all enjoyed. Do you ever think, I mean, the narrative versus documentary? I mean, you do this storytelling so well, and you seem to take such responsibility in it, and with bringing someone in that can really give you insight that no one else could. Do you think about doing documentaries of these stories?
You know, it's interesting because the 3 movies that Mark and I have done, they're pretty kind of male-centric, and there's always a lot of guns and bombs and men running around fighting and swearing at each other and all this, And I decided as soon as it was over, I was going to try and find a palate cleanser. So I started making a documentary on Rihanna. Oh. Right? And like, you can't pick a more opposite person.
You say Mark's playing.
No, he's not playing. And then Rihanna, and who's just a wonderful person, has a group of girls that she travels with, and I found myself listening to very complex conversations about different types of eye makeup that I didn't know existed, and clothing that does things that I didn't know existed.
You're doing a documentary on Spanx as well. We can go.
I used to smoke a lot of weed.
I wanted to talk about the weed, a lot of weed. But so it felt really good, and we were following her tour in Europe this summer, and everything was great. It was this decompression from the violence that we've been filming, and we were in Nice on the Steel Day. Oh, God. And right in front of our hotel, this truck came through and killed 90 people. And Rihanna was right there. We were there with cameras rolling, and it was a bizarre reminder of this being the new reality of the world that we live in. It completely changed the direction of the Rihanna documentary because it was so upsetting to her as an artist and as a woman. So I don't know. These things I feel linked to telling the kind of stories, and I think Mark agrees with me on this, that we want to make stories that touch us, that touch our hearts, that wake up creativity and inspiration in us. So even when trying to make a Rihanna film about music and happiness and joy, which she really does represent to me, tragedy struck. Sorry to bum you guys all out.
You mentioned the line in this, and I think that story brings us back to this overarching theme of love. It will survive. It will persevere. And the line that Mark said is, people were running towards us, not away from us. And it feels like that is what you wanted us to take away. That's, I think, what we felt from the very serious nature of the film, how we walk away feeling inspired and feeling, again, that we have to pull together.
I really do believe it, and I'm generally shy to talk about themes, and I was always got in trouble in high school because my themes weren't clear in my papers and on theses and all that, and I'm still not always clear on what a good thesis is. But I really do believe that You know, we are all, for the most part, not all of us, there is evil out there, and I think the Zarnat brothers were a crystal clear example of really distorted thinking that led to psychopathic behavior and evil. But that's not us. People are good. If you're hurt, I will help you. I believe if I'm hurt, you're going to help me. We really do have angels inside of us. I believe that. And that was crystal clear from the experience I had, thanks to Mark in Boston. And I do want people to take that away so that, if you talk to your children about this and how we process this and what it means, all I can say is there's a lot more beauty and love and good out there than there is this kind of diabolical evil. And I think that's important to keep in our hearts.
And I think that is the perfect answer to end on. So thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
They set off the alarm so they can take them out without anyone going off.